Growing up, I always thought my father was cold. He never hugged me, never said I love you, never showed any physical affection. Even at my graduations, my wedding, the birth of my children, it was always just a firm handshake and a nod. For 43 years, I lived with this reality, telling myself that's just who he was. A stoic man of few words, carrying himself with that military rigidity he never seemed to shake after Vietnam. But I was wrong, so terribly wrong. It was a rainy Tuesday morning when I got the call from the hospice nurse. "Your father doesn't have much time left," she said. "You should come now." I remember gripping my steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white as I drove through the storm, my mind racing through all the things left unsaid between us. When I arrived, he looked smaller than I'd ever seen him. The cancer had eaten away at his once strong frame, leaving behind a shadow of the man who used to carry me on his shoulders. His eyes, though, they were different that day. There was something there I'd never seen before. Fear. He motioned for me to come closer, his hand trembling as he reached for mine. And then, with a voice barely above a whisper, he told me the story that would change everything I thought I knew about my childhood. "March 15th, 1980, he began. "You were 4 years old." I watched as tears formed in his eyes, the first tears I'd ever seen from my father. "We were playing in the backyard, you and me. You were running around, pretending to be an airplane. I was chasing you, picked you up, spinning you around like we always did." He had to stop, catching his breath, each word seeming to drain what little energy he had left. "But that day was different. That day, I dropped you." My father's voice cracked as he continued. "You hit your head on the concrete patio. There was so much blood. You weren't moving. I thought I'd killed you." He squeezed my hand tighter. "The doctors said it was a miracle you survived. 3 days in a coma. When you woke up, you didn't remember anything about the accident. The doctors said it was better that way. From that day on," my father continued, "every time I went to hug you, all I could see was your tiny body lying there, lifeless. The guilt, the fear, it paralyzed me. I couldn't trust myself to hold you again, so I just stopped." He told me how he would come into my room every night after I fell asleep, standing in the doorway, wanting desperately to come closer, but terrified of causing me harm again. "I convinced myself that keeping my distance was protecting you," he whispered. "But I was wrong, son. I was so wrong. I wasn't protecting you. I was protecting myself from my own fear. And in doing so, I robbed us both of so much love." The monitor beeped steadily as he pulled something from under his pillow, a small, worn wooden box. Inside, every birthday card I thought he'd thrown away, every school photo, ticket stubs from every football game I played, thinking he never showed up. He'd been there, always in the back, always watching, always terrified. Underneath the photos was a letter, dated the day after the accident, his handwriting, shaky but clear. "I love you too much to ever risk hurting you again, so I'll love you from a distance. It's the only way I know to keep you safe." For 43 years, I thought my father was cold. Turns out he was burning with a love so intense it consumed him. He died last night. As the monitors flatlined, he finally let me hug him, and in that moment, I felt 4 decades of love pouring out of a man who'd been drowning in it all along. I'm a father myself now. Every time I hug my children, I think of him. I hug them extra tight, extra long, making up for all the hugs he couldn't give. And sometimes, when I'm holding them, I swear I can feel him there with us, finally free from the prison of fear he built around himself. Dad never hugged me because he loved me too much to risk losing me again. And now that I know the truth, I realize he never stopped holding me at all. This morning, I found one last note in that wooden box, written in my father's shaking hand, dated yesterday. "I should have held you tighter. I should have let love be stronger than fear. Don't make my mistakes, son. Hold them tight, and never, ever let go." So that's what I do, every single day.